imagine if we would have seen those guys on the East Coast and in the Midwest where I am. I'm in Chicago. If we would have saw those guys, then we'd have saw the guys that they were playing. We missed out on some great basketball because they are, as you stated, they are assuming we don't want to see this. But I do believe that's a niche that is untapped.
I agree. When I was in the old Pac-10, before it became Pac-12, everybody thought that we were the best conference on the West Coast when we were playing. We weren't. It was just us and Arizona who can compete with the rest of the nation. You had USC who had Harold Miner that was making some noise, and you had Stanford who had Adam Keefe, and they were making a little bit of noise, and then Cal had my cousin, and they were making a little bit of noise, but they weren't really at that level where people want to put eyeballs on TV. So Jason Kidd got the cap.
Right.
You know, but Stanford didn't hit the team. The Collins twins came there, and the Lopez twins. You know, nobody cared about Stanford basketball to that point. And then when you think about USC, Harold Miner was the one that brought eyeballs to the TV. When nobody thought about USC before then.
Right.
So everybody was looking at the Pac-10, and they're like, no, we weren't even the best conference on the West Coast.
Wow.
The best conference on the West Coast was the Big West. When they had UNLV was the number one team in the nation, they had the squad they had. San Diego State had a heck of a squad back then. Santa Barbara had a heck of a squad back then. New Mexico State had a heck of a squad back then. Who else? Long Beach State had Brian Russell and Lucian Harris and a couple other dudes back in the day that was on that team. Now, see, we played these guys in the preseason. Purple State was good. But see, these are teams, that conference was better than ours in my opinion. Collectively, they were better. They had more quality teams than the Pac-12 did, because Pac-10 did back in the day. Because if you look at the bottom of ours, Washington State, Oregon had Terrell Brandon, but they didn't really have a good team. And Oregon State had Brett Berry and Gary Payton, so they're making a little bit of noise too. So after CP left, Oregon State went to the toilet. So you have four teams that was at the bottom that you didn't care about, to where every night was the Big West. So I thought the Big West was a better conference than ours back in the day. But everybody had eyes on the Pac-10 because of us in Arizona.
Exactly. It was you guys and Sean Elliott and that crew, and Kenny Lofton and Kerr and that crew. Yeah, and I just, I because I'm such a fanatic and always has been, I've always wondered, like, man, you get these great games in the tournament. I think the tournament would be even better. But, I mean, it's not up for Tracy and Brian to determine that. But I think it would be so much better if we could get to know those teams as well. Or Saturday afternoon, see those teams. Just one a month. Because
right. I think the problem with that, though, this is what's happening is there are so many people that have their own networks now.
Okay.
Conferences. So Pac-12 have a network, Big 12 have a network. All of these teams have a network now, so they're not being played on the major networks.
Okay.
So they are kind of getting a little bit more exposure nowadays because of that, but I don't think they're advertising enough, or people may not have that network on the cable provider or the satellite provider, which hurts that program or that conference from being seen. You know what I'm saying? So they do have different outlets that can be seen nowadays. It's just a matter of if the consumer has that channel or not.
Right.
Where they can watch.
Because, I know that the Pac-10 network and the Big 12 network exists, and I got the package, and I still don't get everything, and I'm like, I know.
Right.
And
then they put the same things on.
Exactly. It's like, I mean, I grew up a DePaul fan. Somehow or another, I don't even know how, I gravitated towards Syracuse, and be honest with you, I kind of hated you guys because you guys knocked out Mark Aguayo and that crew when I was younger. So I started watching UCLA just to root against you. Then
that was Reggie Miller's fault.
Yeah, I was like, man, I hate them because it was like, man, this is our chance. Because at the time, the Bulls, you guys could have beat the Bulls, but it was a sad time in Chicago. But yeah, man, and I, my son, he came up in the one and done era, and it's like, he's like, hey, I don't understand why you're watching this, and I'm like, you'll see in March. At the end of the year, you'll get it. Right. And now he gets it, and it's like, he's like, oh, why don't they play these? Where are these teams at? I was like, yeah, that's a great question. I say one day I'm gonna ask somebody, and I have, but you just throw that around, man. If you can, you bump into somebody. Hey, how about we just put on, Nowhere State versus Somewhere University game. And see what happens.
Well, not to cut you off, but for example, going into our first game last year when I was broadcasting the UCLA St. Bonaventure playing game,
right?
I knew UCLA was going to be in for a war because St. Bonaventure had 3 dudes that can go.
Right.
I knew the problems that we were going to face because they were smaller, more athletic. Our bigs couldn't get out and guard those quick, undersized bigs. And they can shoot threes. So I knew, mismatch-wise, UCLA was going to have a problem. And I knew maturity-wise, they didn't approach the game. Everybody didn't approach the game like Aaron Holiday or Thomas Weatherford. They were going to play hard all the time. They just thought that they could walk to the gym and beat anybody.
Right.
St. Bonaventure was experienced. They had seniors on the team. So I knew we were going to have a major problem with them, and we ended up losing that game.
And that's like you said, win or go home. That's the beauty in the game. And it's just, it's being missed out. I would have loved to have seen that game. I'm tired of just seeing the highlights and go, oh yeah, that would have been great to watch again.
That's what's wrong with society nowadays too. Ever since ESPN and the top 10 sports highlights and stuff like that, everybody's very highlight driven nowadays. They don't watch games anymore. They don't sit down and watch them. Oh, I'll forget the game. I'll just go see the highlights later. That's the problem. People don't have any passion for whatever sport they're following anymore.
Exactly.
It's like, let's just see the highlights, or let's see people debate over what happened during these highlights instead of let's watch the game
and create our own mental image. Exactly.
Right, and form your own opinion.
Exactly. And that is basically the premise of my show. I got tired of hearing Stephen A's opinion. I'm like, and that's a whole nother conversation. But I got tired of hearing Stephen A's opinion, and I'm like, I don't like that. And then people would always, we all have that one buddy that you can call at 3 o'clock in the morning while you're arguing with your friend and say, hey, what happened in this game in 1995? And he'll go, this happened. I was that guy. Hence the end of the bench. So, okay, another question about college. Give me the best player that you played against that nobody else knows, and why?
Best player I played against that nobody knows in college.
Well, if it's 2 or 3, let me have those guys.
That's tough, man. That's tough because the guys that were in our conference,
okay,
it was cut and dry. It was cut and dry who was better and why. And there was no really sleepers. Outside of the conference, I can give you a team.
Okay, that works.
The 1991 Penn State team.
Wow, I would have never saw that coming.
They beat us first round, but out of pro on this team. The NCAA in Syracuse, New York.
Wow.
They just systematically and physically beat us down.
Mm.
We had no answer for them. We could not get it going against them for some reason. And we had a good team that year.
Mm.
That was my sophomore year. They were still very good.
Mm-hmm.
Most of those schools that I was talking about, we're on that team. And we didn't show up, and I think they had a lot to do with it. They put on their hard hats and they went to work, and we had no answer for it.
Wow. Penn State.
Now, were they good enough to advance in the tournament part? Maybe not, but they were good enough to beat us, and we were predicted to do something that year.
Okay, a different variation of the same question. Who is it that when you saw that team or that player on the schedule, you said, okay, either I'm getting him back or I know I have to bring my A game. I have to bring my super A game tonight. Who was that guy in college?
Well, in college, I looked on the schedule, and if I saw a Duke, it would have to be Grant. If I saw Arizona, you know, they really didn't have a team. You might get Chris Mills, because he was the only small forward they really had. Sean Elliott was gone.
Right.
That I said, okay, I have to bring it against. There was nobody in the conference that had a small forward. Well, Cal, you know, I would have to circle my cousin. Because, you know, we have a little family rivalry. Man, we're not going to just lay down for each other and say,
right,
you score, I score, but we were both competitive. Louisville, you know, they had Heather Stewart, Dwayne Morton at the time that was pretty good, pretty athletic, and they was getting a little bit of a buzz. So, circle them. But it's like, you know, that was college is so tough to think about nowadays because it was so long ago.
Yeah, and trust me, I remember. It's hard for me to remember too. Well, okay, now you get drafted by the Portland Trail Blazers. We covered that a little bit. Tell me about the league, man. What was the biggest shock when you got to the league? You was like, okay, I'm in the league, and then, oh no, this is not happening.
Sitting on the bench. That was the. I had been a starter my whole life up until then, and I wasn't just sitting up on the bench where I was coming off the bench. I was not playing at all.
Wow, DMPs.
So that was the biggest adjustment, the biggest disappointment I had to deal with in my first 3 years of playing.
Favorite coach?
Favorite coach, and I don't know if anybody's going to remember this name, but he's my favorite coach because he's the one that finally said, I'm going to, and it had to do with Isaiah Thomas too, the Chicago stuff. You know, Isaiah was like a big brother of mine. He was the general manager of the Toronto Raptors that year. But Brendan Malone was the coach of the team. He was a long-time assistant for the Detroit Pistons. He's been a long-time assistant in the league. He's been an assistant for over 25, 30 years. But Brendan Malone was my favorite coach because he allowed me to play. He saw something, Isaiah saw something, and they let me go. They cut the cord and let me loose. That was my best year as a pro because they understood what I was bringing to the table. They tried to hide my weaknesses, and even my weaknesses got better that year because they just let me play through my mistakes. And that's what I was talking about earlier, by everybody in the league is very good. All they need is that opportunity. An expansion team was my opportunity to show my work.
Wow, that's awesome.
And I thank God for that opportunity, or else I would have been overseas somewhere and no one would have never known what my potential was in the league.
And for those who listening and don't know who Brendan Malone is, if you ever see highlights of the Pistons, Isaiah Thomas is actually choking the guy. And he told Isaiah to choke him to get his frustration out after Bill Cartwright elbowed him in his head in an NBA playoff game. So that's Brendan Malone, for those who don't know who Brendan Malone is. Brendan
Malone and Isaiah Thomas, you know that they had to be close to Isaiah to hire Brendan, right?
Exactly. Isaiah Thomas is one of my all-time favorite player in the history of basketball, and we come from the same part of Chicago. So I actually went to the same high